Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I want to talk a little bit about hunting whitetails as it relates to weather patterns. There's a lot of talk out there online about hunting bucks by the weather, and if you follow a lot of the big YouTube channels and some of the bigger names in the industry, those guys and gals, they really talk a lot about the classic September and October cold fronts. Hunting over your food plot on that classic cold front where that daytime high is a lot lower the day you hunt than the prior day, right? So the front has moved through, that cold air is back in behind it, that northwest wind. That's for good reason. I like hunting those classic September and October cold fronts too. In fact, my buck from 2 years ago that I killed, that I shot a beautiful 4-year-old 10-point with my bow. That was on a late September cold front, just a classic scenario. The daytime high was 15 degrees lower the day I shot it than the day before, as that front moved through overnight prior. So I love those classic cold fronts. But what I wanted to talk about in this video is a scenario that doesn't get a lot of airtime, and folks don't really seem to talk a whole lot about it online. And that is seeing elevated deer activity on the leading side of the front. So as that storm front is moving into your area, you'd be hunting the front end of it when the temps are higher here, but they're starting to fall throughout the day. Where you get those falling barometric pressures in advance of that precip event as it starts to settle in over the landscape. We've really seen a lot of activity, really meaningful activity. I mean, it's too much to be a coincidence. There's definitely something about that leading edge of the weather system, the rain or snow event, whatever's coming into your area, that gets those deer out during the peak of the rut. And it seems like those bucks just almost go crazy when that's happening. And if you find yourself in that situation, we've observed really aggressive chasing and just cruising behavior on that leading edge of the front as that storm is just starting to set in. And so in our area, the part of the country where we're at, we'll oftentimes get snow, falling temps such that it might start out as a drizzle or light rain in the morning when you go out. And by lunchtime, it's 5, 6, 7 degrees cooler than when you got in the stand. And by the time you go home and get back to your truck, it's, they got a couple inches of snow on the ground. That's a perfect scenario. If something like that is occurring during the rut in our area, in the areas where we're not hunting near food or things like that, ag fields, we get even more excited about this scenario that I'm describing, that falling daytime temp, leading edge of the front. We get more excited about that weather event than the following cold front a day or two later. And, we've got a couple of theories as to why that is. I'll talk about those in a minute, but just to kind of bolster the point here, I got a buddy who I think 2 out of the 3 last bucks that he shot, good friend of mine, were during this exact scenario that I'm describing, where we had those falling daytime temps. It was peak of the rut, and it was just really incredible rutting behavior. The one was just an unbelievable 160s class buck that he took with his bow. It was with a few other bucks, a handful of other bucks on a hot doe. And then just recently last year, he took like a 120s type buck with his bow, and same thing. It was on a doe, really aggressive rutting behavior as those daytime temps were falling. It just seems like it gets those bucks on their feet out in daylight, trying to get that doe really aggressively during the rut before that big weather system sets in. So my brother and I used to try to film all our hunts. I don't film anymore just because it's such a hassle. So if any of you out there are doing it, kudos to you. I tip my hat. It's a lot of work. But I'm showing some footage here of a cool hunt that my brother had during this exact classic scenario. Peak of the rut, big woods up in kind of that big, vast, big woods country in northeastern Minnesota. And he took this beautiful 9-pointer. Sorry for the brief interruption, but winter's almost here. And if you're someone who has young trees on your property that you need to protect from deer browse, you should check these out. They're called browse blockers. You just grab the top growth candle and branch whorl of the tree like this to pull the browse blocker over it. You clip it on, then you leave it like this through fall, winter, and spring. After spring green up, take the net and clip off and save them because you can use them multiple seasons as this tree grows taller. This tree won't get browsed as long as this net is on it. If this is something that you think could help you out this year, you can check them out at browseblocker.com. And when you go to checkout, say that you saw this on YouTube, and my dad will throw in 10 free browse blockers and clips on top of whatever you order. In this area, we don't see many deer. And that day, he actually had 2 bucks on a hot doe come by his stand. And it was that classic scenario of a big major cold front or a big precip event was setting in that night. And at camp, we were giddy that day to get out on stand. My dad actually missed an opportunity at a big buck that same day, and then my brother harvested this beautiful 9-point. He got some cool footage of it, and it was just a really memorable hunt. We got a ton of examples like this where we'll have 2 guys in camp will get cracks at mature bucks the same day when we have that falling daytime temp scenario. That front is setting in the precip event, the drizzle converting over to snow, and and then the following morning, a day or 2 later, it's that real cold temps with snow on the ground. But we were out there catching those deer on the leading edge of it. We have a couple theories as to why this is, and we've sat around the campfire debating why we think they do it. And you might want to dismiss this as like, well, you're hunting during the rut and you got bucks on does, that happens anyways, what's the big deal? But I'm telling you, there's something to this. And for those of you, leave me a comment down below if you guys know what I'm talking about. We've seen unbelievably aggressive behavior of daytime rutting behavior of bucks trying to get that last doe, it seems, or not necessarily the last doe, but get a doe. It seems like they want to bed down with one before that front sets in. Our theory is that those bucks know this weather system is setting in. It's raining, it's turning to snow, maybe it's snowing now, and they know that they want to hole up with a doe. It's the peak of the rut, and their instinct to breed and reproduce is in full swing. And so that's our theory, is that we see that exaggerated and really aggressive rutting behavior these days because they're trying to get that doe that they can bed down with, so then let that front settle in. And if she wants to bed for a day or 2 because it's suddenly really cold and we got snow on the ground, he's with her at least at that point. And maybe it's more difficult to find one after the fact. We don't have any scientific data to back any of this up, but we have a lot of observations that over the course of 20, 30 years and many men in camp here, we know there's something to this leading edge of the precip event as it's moving in and you get those falling temps. So I am curious to hear from you guys, folks out there, if this is something that other camps and other guys, bow hunters around the state, guys and gals, are keying in on. And again, don't misunderstand, I'm not trying to discount the cold front that comes in behind it. We got a lot of trail cam photos that bolster that as well, that those bucks are out and they're cruising, they're opening up scrapes, things like that. Once you got that skiff of snow on the ground and the cold air has now been ushered into the landscape. We definitely believe in that too. It just seems like that seems to get all the attention when that leading edge side of it, that whole concept, doesn't seem to get much attention online. And that's always puzzled me because from what our observations are at our camp, the areas where we bow hunt, it seems like that is such a key time to be out there, and it just doesn't get talked about a whole lot. So let me know what you guys think. I'm genuinely curious. Everybody talks about the classic cold front on the backside, but what about that leading edge before the precip event or as it's setting into your area? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. That helps out small channels like mine, and I appreciate your guys' support. Hit the like button if you want to do that. I appreciate it. And I'm going to be coming out with some more videos here throughout the fall, so stay tuned. Take care, and I will catch you guys on the next video.